Hello, happy Friday. Welcome to The Distance, Atlanta Track Club's online hub of resources to support us in staying healthy and active as we continue to navigate these challenging and uncertain times. My name is Alissa Palladino. I am a registered dietitian and a runner based here in Atlanta, and I am coming to you live once again from my kitchen for your weekly Lunch and Learn, where we've been discussing topics that are relevant to you as runners and walkers and other active people, with the understanding that our food choices play a really powerful role in not only our overall health, but also our performance as athletes. I'm going to dive right in today to today's topic, which is superfoods. Are they worth the hype? We're going to look at 6 different popular superfoods. What about them makes them so super? What are the benefits on health and on potentially performance? Some easy ways to use them, and then we'll wrap up by taking a step back and looking at a little bit more critically the concept of superfoods in the context of an overall eating pattern. And just out of respect for your time and with the thought maybe some of you want to learn all you can about superfoods and then get on with your day, going to experiment today with the format. Today's presentation just a little bit shorter, see how that goes. If it's great, and if not, we'll reassess. So let's jump in. The first superfood we're going to discuss is blueberries. So I've got my frozen blueberries here. Fresh blueberries, also great. And actually, wild blueberries are known to have the highest level of antioxidant content of all fruits and vegetables. So there's research that's been done to actually measure the antioxidant capacity of different fruits and vegetables, and wild blueberries top the list. Conventional blueberries also quite high, and particularly in a class of antioxidants called anthocyanins, which are responsible for this blue color. And the thing about antioxidants, we've talked about this in some of the previous episodes, and it's a term that we throw around that we associate with healthy food and with health, but just to understand why they're so vital, that we eat enough of them through our diet and why they're so important to health. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals that would otherwise cause oxidative damage to our cells and to our DNA, which then in turn contributes to a whole number of disease progression as well as exacerbates aging. So can lead to cancerous changes, can lead to inflammation and all sorts of negative health impacts. So it's definitely important that we consume the antioxidants to neutralize the free radicals, because free radicals are being formed all the time as a result of normal metabolism and exacerbated by environmental exposure. And as runners and as athletes, people doing endurance exercise, we're actually creating even more free radicals are being formed during those intense exercises. So all the more reason to consume antioxidants, which are going to be primarily found in our colorful fruits and vegetables and highest in our wild blueberries. So really easy to incorporate. If you can find wild blueberries, maybe you can find them in frozen form. Conventional is great too. They're in season right now. Throw them on your oatmeal, throw them in Greek yogurt, throw them in cottage cheese. You can top a green salad to add a little bit of sweetness there. You can grab a handful and just enjoy them plain, but very easy and enjoyable to get your blueberries and your dose of anthocyanins in. All right. So we can throw them in a smoothie too. I should have said that. Okay. Our next superfood that we're going to talk about is kale. And honestly, if there's one food that I, at least anecdotally, associate with that term superfood, it's got to be kale. Anytime, you see a salad on a menu somewhere that is billed as a superfood salad, you've got to imagine that one of the ingredients, at least, is kale, and with good reason. So kale really is a very nutrient-dense food. It's got a whole host of nutrients in it that have positive impacts on our health. So One of the things with kale is it's high in a compound called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is responsible for the green color here. And what it does is actually can help lower cancer risk because it prevents the absorption of some of the carcinogens that are produced when we are grilling or charring animal protein. So definitely some cancer protective properties of kale because of that chlorophyll. It's also very high in dietary fiber. Cannot say enough good things about dietary fiber as far as its role in overall health. It promotes heart health by lowering bad LDL cholesterol. It can help manage our blood sugar levels and thus lower risk or better manage prediabetes or diabetes, and just for all of us, keep our energy levels steady throughout the day. It's associated with fiber, decreased risk of colon cancer. It keeps us regular. And it also promotes fullness and a feeling of satiety, which can overall support healthy and sustainable weight management. So dietary fiber, very high in kale. It's a great plant-based source of iron and calcium. So if you are somebody following a vegan diet and you're not consuming iron from animal products or you're not consuming calcium from dairy products, is a great way to get in those important minerals. And just as a reminder, iron forms hemoglobin, which is the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen all around our body. So we absolutely need that as human beings, and we certainly need it as runners and endurance athletes, or else we're going to feel fatigued and we're not going to have enough energy. And then calcium is the mineral that's primarily responsible for building and maintaining strong bones. And dairy is certainly the best source and the most absorbable source. But of course, there are plant-based options, and kale is one of them. Kale also contains vitamin K, which works alongside calcium and vitamin D to protect our bones. And the vitamin K also plays a role in blood clotting. So very important there. It's got vitamins A and vitamin C, which are antioxidants. Vitamin C plays a really important role in our immune system, and it's a component of collagen, which makes up our hair and our skin and our nails. And the vitamin A is really essential for a whole range of body processes, including eye health and also being an antioxidant. So I'm wondering if there's anything potassium. Potassium is also high in kale. So potassium is essential for muscle and heart contractions. So certainly important for our overall functioning and important for us as runners and athletes. Really can't. I'm probably forgetting some other important nutrients that are found in kale, but you get the point. You're getting a lot of nutritional bang for your buck. So this idea that kale really is a superfood does have some merit when we think about all it has to offer from a nutrition standpoint. Some people enjoy it raw. I'm actually not one of those people, so I probably won't be ordering that raw kale salad. If you do want to eat it raw, try massaging it with some olive oil to soften it. It's a pretty tough green compared to other greens. A good thing about that means that it's less likely to wilt and go bad in your fridge compared to, say, spinach. So if you're someone who finds that you buy produce and you don't get to it right away, kale might be one of those ones that's okay in the fridge a week later. But I honestly prefer to saute it on the stove top, adding a little bit of water, olive oil, lemon, garlic, and you're good to go. Salt and pepper. So sauteing is probably my favorite way to enjoy kale. And because some of the nutrients in here are fat soluble, so vitamins A and K, for example, they are better absorbed with a fat source. So definitely that olive oil is going to help you absorb those fat soluble nutrients. And if you're doing a raw kale salad, you could do an olive oil based dressing, add some nuts, add some seeds, add some avocado, some other source of fat, so that you're fully absorbing all those nutrients that kale has to offer, because it certainly does. Okay, our next superfood, we're going to look at quinoa. So quinoa, I think it is finally starting to gain some familiarity and be less of like an esoteric food. You're still going to find those people that see it printed and say quinoa and don't know what they're talking about. But for most people, especially those into healthy eating, it's becoming more widely recognized as a grain, although technically it's a seed. And in our sort of carb-phobic diet culture that we're living in, tends to be one of the few carbs that is sort of acceptable. And so, you've probably learned over the course of this series that I'm not anti-carb by any means. But I do encourage when we're eating carbohydrates to choose ones that are whole grains and offer fiber and protein, and quinoa is certainly one of those. So it's sometimes thought to be more of a protein source than it really is. It does have slightly more protein than other grains. It's got about 5 grams of protein per cup. And it's very high in dietary fiber as well, about 7 grams per cup. So those are 2 really important things. If you're, the dietary fiber, I'm not going to go into again, but the protein, especially if you're eating a plant-based diet or not eating a lot of animal protein, we want to optimize the protein content of all the foods we do eat. And so quinoa is a good way to do that. I still wouldn't rely on it as the primary protein source in your meal because 5 grams just isn't enough, and that's for a full cup. So it's still primarily a carbohydrate source, but one that's giving you a little extra fiber and protein compared to some others. And it's a complete protein. So that means it has all the amino acids that our bodies need to then build and repair our muscles and our tissues and our cells and all the other structural components of our bodies that are made of protein, which is pretty much everything. So quinoa and soy are really the 2 plant-based sources of complete protein. So it's great in that regard. Really great as a base for a grain bowl, to top a green salad, to add a little bit of complex carbs and make that salad give you more energy and be more satisfying. You can actually make it sweet and prepare it similar to oatmeal, just sort of an alternative there. You can use it in a stir fry in the place of rice and get a little extra fiber and protein boost. You can make sushi out of it. There's a lot of things you can do with quinoa. It doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own. So if you're eating it plain, you might want to prepare it with broth or stock as opposed to just water. But it's prepared just like any other grain, just like rice. And so it's very easy, or you can be really lazy and buy the quick cook version that just needs to go into the microwave like I have here. But yeah, if you've only had it totally plain, you might not actually think it's all that delicious because, again, it doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own, but it's great, particularly in grain bowls mixed with maybe black beans or chickpeas or spices, other vegetables, cheese, things like that, and kind of adding flavor that way. All right. So quinoa, for those of you who didn't know how to pronounce it before, now you do. Definitely a nutrient-packed food for sure. Earns its superfood label, I think we can safely say that. All right. So our next superfood we're going to look at is chia seeds. And chia seeds are one of the few uncommon, slightly esoteric ingredients that I actually do recommend on a fairly regular basis because they are such nutritional powerhouses. Typically, my approach to nutrition is that it doesn't require fancy ingredients, and that we can get the nutrition we need from fairly common, readily available, inexpensive staple items. And then I do believe that for sure. But chia seeds are they're not super esoteric. They're becoming more and more mainstream, but they are definitely something that people may not be familiar with. And I hope that they become familiar with because of all the nutritional benefits. So for just a tablespoon of these seeds, you get a lot of really powerful nutritional properties. The biggest thing is going to be 5 grams of heart healthy fat, particularly that omega-3, those omega-3 fatty acids that are linked to having an anti-inflammatory impact on the body and for preventing that inflammation, which then is linked to a whole number of chronic diseases and diabetes, heart disease, cancer, aging, cognitive decline, all that stuff. So important to have those omega-3s. And if you're not someone who eats a lot of fatty fish, which is primarily where they're found, that includes me, chia seeds are a great way to get those omegas. So really good source of those. And they're also a really good source of dietary fiber. So again, in just that 1 tablespoon serving, which is almost nothing, you're getting 5 grams of fiber. That's about a fifth, almost a fifth of what most women need in a typical day with just a tablespoon of these. So really, really easy. And there's even some protein. There's some micronutrients, so like zinc and iron and calcium and things like that you're normally not getting from plant foods. So again, really nutritional powerhouses, and I would say probably a superfood. That's all those nutrient benefits are kind of what leads to it being known in that way. And so if anyone is new to chia seeds, they really are easy to use. Again, all you need is a tablespoon to actually get that amount of those nutrients. You can add it to your oatmeal. You can add it to your Greek yogurt. You can add it to any kind of baked goods you're making. So muffins, waffles, pancakes. You top some cottage cheese if that's something you like. And they don't really have a lot of taste on their own. They really just add a little bit of crunch. And the other cool use for chia seeds is to make a chia egg. So if you are trying to make a baked good and you're out of eggs, or if you're trying to follow a vegan diet and you don't want to use eggs in your baking, you can combine chia seeds with water, and that basically has the same emulsifying effect in the recipe as the egg would. So they are really versatile, and I would highly recommend investing in these guys if you haven't already. The other cool thing about chia seeds is that all those nutritional benefits you absorb and get in their whole form. Unlike flax, which is also similar as far as the nutritional properties, but flax needs to be ground up in order to actually absorb and benefit from its nutrition. So chia seeds is a one-stop shop. Toss them on your oatmeal and you're good to go. Last week when I made that granola, the DIY granola, I used chia seeds in that, and just adds a little bit of, all those good things, the healthy fat, the fiber, the protein, the micronutrients. And yeah, good seed there. Okay. All right. So we've talked about blueberries, anthocyanins, potent antioxidant. We've talked about kale, quinoa, chia seeds. Now we're going to move on to two more superfoods that are a little bit more fun, maybe, to think about. The first is going to be our dark chocolate. So dark chocolate is made from cocoa, and cocoa is a plant that is high in a number of important minerals as well as a class of antioxidants called flavonols. And so those minerals and those antioxidants are what are associated with its potential health benefits and why it is sometimes viewed as a superfood. So mineral-wise, cocoa contains pretty high levels of iron, magnesium, and zinc. So we talked about iron already, the component of red blood cells that we need to transport oxygen all around our body, so very essential for humans and runners. Magnesium is a mineral that is also very important. It plays a role in nerve and heart and muscle contraction. It regulates blood pressure and also plays a role in the immune system. And then zinc also is an antioxidant that plays a really important role in the immune system, and actually almost 300 different enzymatic reactions in our body. So you are getting some of those important minerals that we need for health and performance from cocoa. And yes, dark chocolate contains cocoa. The higher the percentage here, so 60%, you can see 75%, 80%, 85%, 90% cocoa. The higher that percentage of cocoa in the dark chocolate, the more you're getting those health benefits that are associated with cocoa. And the less sugar and milk solids are in it, so the less sugar and saturated fat you're going to get. The cocoa also has, I mentioned this, the antioxidant class called flavonols that there is some really good research around flavonols and preventing a whole number of different diseases. It seems to help people better manage diabetes. It seems to contribute to heart health by lowering blood pressure and LDL cholesterol levels. It does seem to have some positive effects on Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and just generally promoting cognitive health and preventing cognitive decline, those flavonols. But this is all really looking at cocoa, and the amount of chocolate you'd have to consume to get really significant levels of these micronutrients and these antioxidants would potentially provide us with more sugar, more saturated fat, more calories than is really sensible for most of us. A lot of the research that's been done on the disease prevention and management with dark chocolate looks at about an ounce of chocolate daily, which just for reference is about 3 of these squares. That's not an unreasonable amount to eat in a day. About 150 calories, 12 grams of fat, 12 grams of sugar. So, if you can fit that into your day and you want to, by all means. If you want to incorporate cocoa powder or raw cacao nibs into baking or into oats, then you're going to get those health benefits without the sugar and the saturated fat. But truthfully, when it comes to whether dark chocolate is a superfood, I think we really do, for most of us, we want to keep considering it a dessert and realize that it's a dessert that is offering some added nutrition. So, if you're someone who enjoys a piece of dark chocolate from time to time or even every day, you can feel good knowing that you're getting some nutritional bang for your buck. But I would still, for most of us, suggest relying primarily on fruits and vegetables and other plant foods for those health benefits and antioxidants that we need, and really, continuing to consider our dark chocolate like dessert and treating it that way. All right. So, and finally, on sort of a similar note, we've got our red wine. Ooh. So red wine is another one like chocolate that is something that we typically enjoy and that we've also heard has some health benefits. And red wine, the health benefits associated with red wine, why it is known as sort of a superfood, is because of a compound called resveratrol, which is an antioxidant. It's found in the skins of grapes. So in theory, we can also consume it by eating grapes, although that's not quite as much fun as drinking red wine. And yes, there has been research around linking resveratrol to mainly heart health. It seems to lower cholesterol, bad cholesterol, LDL levels. It seems to improve HDL cholesterol, so the heart healthy cholesterol that we want our levels to be high. It seems to help regulate blood pressure, improve the lining of our blood vessels. So it's got some health benefits. But the general consensus from major public health organizations is that the risk of drinking alcohol in excess far outweighs the benefits of drinking it in moderation. So it's not something that we typically recommend people start doing. It's more something that if you're already enjoying a glass of red wine from time to time or daily, you can feel good, kind of like with the chocolate, that you are getting some beneficial health outcomes as a result of that habit. But again, not something to start doing if you're not doing already, because there's plenty of other ways to get your antioxidants and to improve your heart health. Exercising regularly, running, walking, eating a variety of fruits and vegetables regularly, high fiber foods, all that good stuff. Because alcohol itself is a toxin, it taxes the liver, and the risks of consuming more than moderation outweigh the benefits of consuming in moderation. So it's going to be sort of an individual choice there. And moderation is defined as, sometimes people hate that word, but there is a definition of it when it comes to alcohol. 1 drink a day for women, 2 drinks a day for men. I'm assuming that has to do with both body size, body composition, and different metabolic processes. And 1 drink when it comes to wine is a 5-ounce pour. So not like a giant glass, 5-ounce pour of wine, 1.5 ounces of spirits, and 12 ounces of beer is what's defined as 1 drink. So chocolate, we've got our red wine, we've got our quinoa, our chia seeds, our blueberries, our kale, lots of good things. And it's what I've hoped to have shown you over the course of the last 25 minutes. I guess my idea of keeping this short didn't really happen, is that the reason these foods are known as superfoods is because they really do offer a variety and a lot of different nutrients. And those nutrients do have research as far as how they positively impact health. But remember, when it comes to nutrition, and how it impacts both our health and our performance, what we do consistently has far much greater impact on health and performance than anything we do once in a while. So we always have to look at our overall dietary pattern as well as our overall lifestyle. We can never reduce nutrition to a single food or nutrient. So if you're eating a diet that is rich in these superfoods and potentially other similar ones, that's consistently the types of foods you're eating. Yeah, you're going to experience a lot of health benefits and probably performance benefits. You're going to feel great, reduce your disease risk, live a long and healthy life. But if you're eating a sort of mediocre diet or maybe even kind of a crappy diet with a lot of processed nutrient poor foods, maybe a lot of fast food, and then once in a while you decide to sprinkle some chia seeds on your breakfast or have a glass of wine or some chocolate, you're not going to see the same benefits to your health or disease risk as someone who is eating more of a nutrient dense diet on a regular basis. So again, if there's no single bullet, there's no single silver bullet when it comes to how food impacts health and performance. It's always, we got to take a step back, look at the bigger picture, and also know that variety is a really important principle of nutrition as well. So, quinoa is not the only grain or pseudo grain you should be eating. Farro is great too. Bulgur, barley, brown rice. When it comes to the fiber and the protein content of quinoa, beans are a great alternative to chickpeas. If you aren't a fan of chia seeds, flax offers a pretty similar nutritional profile as far as the healthy omega-3 fats, the fiber and the protein and the micronutrients. Just make sure to grind them. Blueberries are great, but so are strawberries, so are raspberries, so are blackberries. So there are lots of other fruits that are in season right now, like cherries and nectarines. So variety is important. If you're already eating these superfoods, go ahead and keep eating them. If there are things that you like anyway and you forgot about them, build them into your diet. You're only going to benefit, but also know that there is a limit as far as, how impactful it's going to really be on your health and on your performance. But they're not going to hurt. I'll say that, with the exception of our chocolate and our wine that we have to make sure we consume in moderation and continue to view as treats for most of us. All right. So again, I did not really stick to my goal of keeping this in a shorter format. So thank you all who have watched through the end. I hope this has been educational and informative and practical. And I will see you next Friday. Happy weekend.